Hello, everyone. I hope you are enjoying the conference. Today, in the next half an hour, we'll be speaking with 4 distinguished panelists here about cognitive cities, or how cities are getting more and more smart. So you heard already from the introduction. We'll have Fabio from Neom. Fabio is the head of growth at Neom. Used to be at HP for a very long time in the past. He's sitting in the Middle East area, and Neom we'll probably hear a little bit more later on, but it's a futuristic project of building a new smart city close to Red Sea in the Saudi Arabia area. So we'll hear more his view about how challenging it is to build such big project. We have of course also Frank. Frank comes from Barcelona. He's leading the digital transformation for the commercial aspect, the marketing aspect at Roca Group. Probably if you live in Spain, but also elsewhere in the world, Roca is one of the leaders, maybe worldwide leader about sanitary appliances. And again, we will hear about how challenging is for them to connect more and provide different services in the future for that specific product suite, but also a great opportunity ahead. We have Angela, who is also head of growth at OpenVia, which is a technology and innovation platform of Globavia. You definitely know of Globavia, which is the biggest concession manager of highways and railways in Spain, and also with operations elsewhere. Then we have Jaime, who's the regional manager for FreeNow, leading the operations and the strategy for Spain, Portugal, France, I guess, and Greece, no?
UK and Italy.
Italy, okay. So half Europe, basically. I would like to start. We'll do the other way around, okay? Sure. So we start from Jaime. I guess what is interesting to start from is really to understand how your organization is taking advantage of data at the moment in order to provide the services, and maybe you can give some hints about what is boiling for the future.
Sure.
And how this could really help us live better in the cities.
Sure. So basically, our entire business is built on data. Everything we do is done with data, otherwise we would not exist. For those of you that don't know us, we started as My Taxi, and we evolved into what's called right now FreeNow, which is much more than a taxi hailing platform. What we do is we've become the super app for mobility. So we're integrating not only taxi or PHV, but also scooters, e-bikes, mopeds, etc., from third parties. In doing that, obviously, there's massive amounts of data. We use data, for instance, to figure out the imbalances between supply and demand in real time, to calculate the optimal route for a typical journey or the price for a journey. And also thinking about the future as well. I think what we're going to see is basically a deepening of this. I think we're going to see much more deeper integrations, not only with third parties, but also with public transport, for instance. We should be seeing as well much deeper integrations with public data sources, allowing, for instance, to understand better how traffic evolves, how the city breathes in general. And lastly, I would expect that hopefully soon, I would expect that we, in the industry, not only us, but probably other players, develop bundles or subscription services so that you can pay a flat fee per month and you move around as much as you want. I think that's probably the end game in 3 to 5 years, hopefully.
Okay, thank you. Angela, what about yourself and OpenVia?
Thanks, Fabio. So in OpenVia, we have a dream. Our dream is to transform mobility, to make it even more sustainable through data-based solutions or data-powered solutions. Cities need to be hyper-connected. They are, and they will be hyper-connected. There was a study, I think it was a couple of years ago, from Cisco that they mentioned that by 2030, 500 billion of devices will be connected, providing data, all sources of data, but for urban planning and for infrastructure planning, cartography, weather, transport data, fares, prices, vehicle data, all sorts of data. But in order to achieve that, in order to achieve a sustainable living for everyone, there's 3 key milestones that we all need to accomplish. The first one is open data. It's really committing with open data. All the stakeholders working in the city, we need to really commit with open data. There's a bunch of really nice, interesting initiatives of Open Mobility Foundation. The second one is basically, having a model for data value. Having a governance model where the data economy works for everyone, and especially for the user, even monetizing the data or getting earnings for the data. And the third one is having a centralized source of data. Also, regarding urban planning, we're really committed with low emission zones. We all know that it's compulsory, for example, in Spain, to deploy low emission zones. So we have a platform that enables the deployment of low emission zones, not only like managing as a future urban tolling or whatsoever, but also offering the potential of integrating the different data silos that we have in cities, integrating legacy systems, cloud systems, in order to make available information for a better and a more reactive decision taking.
Okay, very well. Frank, tell us a little bit more how you use data within your products today and what's boiling for the future.
Thanks, Fabio. Well, Roca is a sanitary ware manufacturer. We are coming from production of toilets, faucets, these kind of products. To talk about data, to talk about IoT is very, very difficult, no? So our starting point is our data management today is focusing on business processes, on production, on sales, these kind of things, quite traditional. With IoT, we see the opportunity to bring data to 3 areas, I would say. The first area is understanding the usage of the product, the consumption of the water, the behavior of the user in front of a smart shower or in front of a faucet, and also to understand really the functionalities that we are bringing to the users, to the consumers, if these are so important or not. In other area, we are understanding that this data is going to improve the efficiency about the maintenance processes. The maintenance processes, understanding that as a preventive maintenance or early washing about an alarm of a product that is helping you to avoid leakage or flooding in a building, and impacting also in the people. We are studying, we are executing projects where we are going to be capable to understand health from another point of view. In the bathroom, we can monitor a lot of values. We can monitor the blood pressure or the body temperature or even the hydration of a person after the sport. With this data, we can improve the life quality. So, Roca is a business, quite traditional. We are coming from doing a lot of things with stone, with sand, with iron, and we are bringing to a model where the IoT solution is sensorized in our products, is going to be a disruption in our business, in our sector, and we understand that as a huge opportunity for the business in the few years.
Great. Fabio, I guess you have so many examples of how great new cities built up from scratch can show in terms of using data. Maybe you can pick a couple of that are less conventional for us living in normal cities.
Absolutely. I don't know how much you know about NEOM. It's one of the biggest mega projects in Saudi, about $400 billion project sponsored by PIF. And we are building basically not a city, we are building a country. Because people believe it's a city. It's a country. The size is the size of Belgium, 26,500 square meters in front of the Red Sea on the northwest part of Saudi. And we're building from scratch, for which is a big advantage, because we don't have any legacy that any other country or city may have. So for sure we are facing challenges, because building from scratch, we need to build all the infrastructure. Basically, we are going to build the 3 pillars. The first one is the connectivity one, all the fiber, the 5G, the low orbit connectivity, and so on. The second one is the data center. The third one is the application that we allow this data to go around. So going back to the point, I love the title Cognitive City Beyond Smart, because for us, smart is dead. is the past. Because smart is when you can be smart, you can know what is happening today, you know what is happening in the past, you don't know at all what is happening in the future. And that's what cognitive is all about. But in order to do that, the way smart cities use data today, they use between 6 to 9% of the data. That's very few. Why? Because people doesn't give consent, because all the different systems are not connected between each other, and that's what the problem is. So in the cognitive city, you're going to use up to 90% of the data. In order to do that, you need, number one, to build a platform that we are building as we speak, a consent platform that allow people to consent what they want to use. It's not like the major big search engine that's going to grab your data without consenting you. But we want to give to the people the ability to consent to what we want to use. And why this is important? Let me give you an example. If you drive data like you're coming in 5 years from now, you are on a plane, you say you have your housing, you have your air condition set up, you have a restaurant book, you have your taxi driver or free now, ready for you to rent a car. What's happened that you fly delay 3 hours, you are in the middle of the sky, you're coming from a long trip through the North Pole, and there is no connectivity with Wi-Fi. What do? All your system is screwed up because nobody can predict what's happening, the flight is delayed, so automatically you lost the reservation to the restaurant, you lost the reservation to the car, you are consuming more energy because basically the air conditioning is going on. So if you consent that your data is shared between the different providers, go from the airport to the restaurant to the company do renting car and so on, the system knows that you are a delay, automatically reroute your reservation, your restaurant, and everything. So you don't lose money, you save energy, you have a better life. So that's what B means cognitive. But I give you an example, but you can imagine this one for if there is an accident. You can imagine this one for mobility, where you need to predict the traffic. No, because if you see Google today, they tell you how is the traffic today, it doesn't tell you how is the traffic 5 minutes from now. So unless the people consent to tell where they are. So that's the power. Now, in order to do that, what is important is to have a strong innovation engine to see how you can not only gather those data, but how you can manipulate those data, how you can use for the better life for everyone. And last but not least, because data require a lot of data center require a lot of energy, you need to be in a way that's going to be absolutely sustainable and carbon-free by 2030.
Great. Thanks a lot, Fabio. So let's go back to the mobility aspect. So we can observe, in the last few years, proliferation of smart mobility services around the cities in Europe. We tend to see some consolidation of this ecosystem at the moment. We don't need the next, let's say, scooter app to some extent. So, but on the other side, the mobility revolution is not, of course, over. So what do you think would be next in terms of 3 to 4 years from now?
Yeah, I think that's basically how innovation works, right? We come from a period of blooming and from a lot of investment and new companies and new options being created. And now I think we're going through a cleanup period. I think we do need to go through a consolidation period. I think a lot of these companies will not make it and will be integrated in other companies, of course. And also, I think we're going to see a very similar pattern that we saw in other businesses on the internet, which is basically the fight to become the Google or the Booking of mobility. Someone will become the great aggregator of this, right? Obviously, some of us are already trying to play that game, and I think that's basically what we have ahead of us in the next 2 to 3 years, especially considering the current financial conditions. I think we all know that investments are becoming a bit more scarce, and I think that will force this consolidation environment. I gave a few hints of what I think will come afterwards, but I do think as part of that consolidation, the next big step does have to do with actually moving from private individual companies to platforms and integrating those platforms, hopefully with cities or with other providers, as well as evolving the business model. The business model is still pretty much pay-per-trip, and I think there's room. It's not easy. The numbers are not easy to make them work, but I think there's room to finding new ways of basically figuring out how to replace private cars more and more which obviously it's part of the game, right? I would say that the last part of our vision has to do with how to replace internal combustion engine cars. We have actually committed 100 million euros in the next 5 years to help with the electric transition to PHVs and taxis, but also to help figuring out which of those journeys we could be doing with our partners, so with scooters, e-bikes, etc. So I think we're going into deepening into that direction, and hopefully, as I said, we will figure out new business models that allow anyone to really not need a car in the city, and just basically we need to make true that promise of mobility as a service. Yeah. It's not there yet, but I think there's still some way to go, but I think we're on that road.
Right, great. Angela, what do you think in terms of management of highways and railways infrastructure? What can be the role OpenVia can play in that next 2-3 years
I totally
journey?
agree with what Jaime said. The next wave of mobility is here, pushed by obviously COVID, the need to boost equality, the need to have real offering for users, for real mobility. Because at the end of the day, yes, there's lots of platforms, there's lots of possibilities of offering multimodal options, but the real challenge right now is to consolidate collective transportation, which is basically the backbone of urban mobility, with a seamless integration with these new operators that have emerged. And that needs to be done, obviously, through platforms. And I would say, like in ecosystem, there's no the winner takes all. We need to do it together. And that means, offering a real alternative, a multimodal alternative that me as a user can say, okay, I'll leave my car home and I will take my multimodal option. But it really needs to be super easy, convenient, and easy to take. And also, we need to better explain how sustainable the trip, this option is, and also reward users for taking that option. That's super important. We are kind of exploring that also in Metro de Sevilla, exploring with different private operators, or platforms on how to make that real and make a real alternative. Because at the end of the day, like also Jaime said, we use Netflix for TV, we listen to Spotify, so why not having a mobility subscription? A mobility subscription where you have your monthly ticket or even integrating single tickets, a metro ride and then a kick scooter to cover that last mile. But it needs to be convenient, seamless, and super easy to use. And then, obviously, we can start looking into life as a service, offering also location-based service, convenient things for people when they get to the destinations. And that's a real challenge. We've been talking about that almost 3 years, and now it's time to make it happen.
Thank you very much, Angela. We are a little bit hostages of the time, as usual. Frank, direct question to you. We have ahead of you a great opportunity to digitally transform Roca. What is your dream in 3 years from now, where the company should be in terms of using data and providing smart services to your customers?
We are studying this in two big concepts, two big areas. We split the concept of private home and public building. Are similar needs, but not the same. If we talk about private homes, like today, you have energy meters that are providing information about the consumption of the energy, and it's important. We understand that the water is becoming also as important as the energy. So any single sanitary ware product in the future is going to report the water consumption. And based on that, we are going to be able to compare with others. The Gauss, I'm a good runner of this product, or I'm a very bad runner because I'm consuming a lot of water, and why? Or we are going to be able to compare with different periods, or even we are going to be able to detect abnormal consumption. The typical example is the cistern that after the use remains leaking water, and we are going to be able that, hey guys, you have a leaking situation in one cistern, please pay attention on that. If we think that really, if you don't notice, if you don't have a measure, it's impossible to change. And this is going to bring to the consumers, to the people, the information, the data needed to start this behavior change. In the public sector, in the public buildings, we understand that the ecosystem is going to be based on building management system, quite centralized, reporting all the information to an AI or something similar. But for stadiums, for a mall and offices, this kind of information, the users of the services, of the products, are going to be related with the possibility to change, to the possibility to repair at the time that is not in use. This kind of information is going to help us, even us, to move to the preventive maintenance. And also for these venues that are for big events like theaters or stadiums, to help the people to understand when to open or to close an installation of a bathroom. At the end, this is about care. We think that with this next generation of products and services, we are going to improve to care about the infrastructures, helping care about the infrastructure, being more efficient managing the infrastructure, and also to care about the people, to offering better service to the people at the end.
Super clear. Thanks, Frank. Fabio, you mentioned a little bit your dream in terms of what the smart city should really operate in the case of Neon. But if you look at cities today, they cannot have the full freedom of building from scratch. What do you think should be the next 2-3 priorities? What they can realistically achieve the next 3 to 4 years?
No, you're right. Basically, for us, it's easier because we start from scratch. But if you take an existing city, you don't start from scratch. So first of all, I think the most important thing is sustainability. That's what at the base pillar of Neon. So you need to have green energy that allow you to do that. Now, I do understand that in some places it's not easy to build green energy, because when you build green energy, you need a lot of space because you do a combination of solar, wind, and hydrogen. But you need to start thinking green. This is the most important things. The second thing is you need to create a consent platform that allow the different entities that already exist to talk to each other. That's the most difficult part, because if you don't have this one, it is difficult for you to achieve the dream that things will be connected and will work seamless. And number 3, you need to make sure that you learn from what other mistake other people did. Because a lot of people did mistake. You learn by mistake. So you see, and that's actually in Neon, we are looking at the mistake the other smart city did, how we can avoid that to make it happen. So that will be the 3 priorities. But the most important thing is you need to understand what is your capacity to grow of data. Because when you move from smart to cognitive, and when you're going to have the metaverse, the data is growing exponentially. A data center is needed. And when you need to build data center, those are the most consume building you never see. If you don't think smart in terms, in this case, you need to think smart in terms of the green energy you're going to use, you're going to fail because you are going to create a lot of carbon emission. So I think look at the sustainability, even to build data center is the first priority you need to have, because you are going to consume a lot of data. Yeah, super clear. So we maybe have, the last round of questions, just a flash one. I will ask the same question to everyone. So we sit in this panel in 3 years from now. What would you be surprised, let's say, of seeing in cities within your area of responsibilities? What would you be surprised to see, and what would you be surprised of not seeing happening by 3 years from now?
Okay, so I would be surprised, unfortunately, I would be surprised to see autonomous driving. I think we have the technology, but I think the societal changes and the regulatory changes will take a bit more time. And then I would not be surprised to see, I've already mentioned, mobility as a subscription service, including public transport. I think that's something that is feasible in the next 2-3 years.
Anja, same question to you.
And like Jaime, I hope to see autonomous driving, obviously, and we truly believe that's going to happen. Maybe not in urban first, but obviously in highways, that's going to happen. And I guess that there's some enabling technology that we all might see, and that's going to be digital twins for cities, for planning, for like fidgeting around, for urban mobility, and then do the planning. That's going to be the next hype.
Yeah. Frank, what would surprise you in the next 3 years?
It's not going to surprise, Fabio was introducing before, data for everything. So we are going to have tons of data. We are going to be hit as a person with thousands of information every day. This is a cost. This is the clean energy, the clean management of data is important also. And I think the challenge here is how the system, the ecosystems that we are going to build on smart cities are going to help to digest this data and to provide just real information to the people.
Fabio, what do you think could go wrong in the next 3 years at Neom, in the sense that you have a plan, but something could go wrong? Where do you see the most?
We are cognitive, so we predict this.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So maybe you see the problems happening earlier, right?
Yeah.
And what, on the other side, would surprise you to happen easier to some extent?
So first of all, I will not be surprised if this event will happen on the metaverse 3 years from now.
In the next 3 years,
and
yeah.
some of us will be on
Yeah, fair
a
enough.
hologram or an humanoid presence. But I think what I will not be surprised to see that everybody will look at sustainability. I like to see a clock like that to see how much carbon-free we're going to save 3 years from now. I think that will be, to me, the basic for everyone to think, no matter which business you are. You know, I mean, we have 16 sectors in Neom, you know, from mobility, real estate, tourism, you name it, energy. But everybody in their business plan need to think how much carbon emission going to reduce in the next 3 years.
And measure.
And measure.
And measure.
And measure. Not just say, I'm going to do that. Okay. So 3 years from now, I will not be surprised if everybody has a target to see how much they have reduction on that.
Okay. Very, very clear. Thank you, everyone here. I hope we provided some insights about what operators in smart cities and smart mobility think about for the future, and hope you have enjoyed the panel, and I wish you the best for the continuation of the conference. Thank you.
Big applause.